Hello everyone, welcome to another video of my layout, and I figured this is one area which I really have not done in great detail, and at times is more for show than anything else. However, talking to a couple of the guys that I run with here, we're trying to incorporate the engine terminal into some op sessions. Many of you know I was born and raised in Long Island and moved to New Jersey in 1995. This is always dear to my heart, Long Island, and this is the Richmond Hill Engine Terminal. What you're looking at here is the Walthers 90-foot turntable. This was the first Walthers built-up turntable that was DC. It was not DCC ready or equipped. It came with a controller. So what I did in order to make it DCC ready, because as many of you know, when you turn the unit and try flipping the power, you've got a polarity direction. We're going to flip this all the way around to the other side here just to get it going. All of the tracks have been programmed. We have 6 tracks here on the right for storing engines. And on the other side here that you're going to see, we have 5 tracks. There are 3 that go into the building, and then there is 1 on the right side here and 1 on the left side here. This track that you're looking at is the track that leads to and from the turntable, and we're going to get to where that goes in a minute. As I mentioned about the turntable, I've added a DCC Specialties PSX-AR. So basically what this does is when the turntable goes past a certain point and the polarity switches on the turntable track, this unit automatically flips the polarity, so there's no loss of power, no short circuit. So how do we control these turntable tracks? Very simply, we have our Richmond Hill engine terminal control panel. What you see here on the right these are the 6 turntable tracks. We've got the 5 tracks on the other side of the turntable and the track to and from staging. This entire section here is on a 5 amp DCC booster off the main NCE radio system. And the reason why is fairly obvious. You can see how many how many engines, are on this layout. There's a lot. This area is still a work in progress. There's probably, 25, 30 engines down here. So a lot of them have sound, some don't. So the best way to control these is obviously with some switches. So we've got a train on track 3. That's AP engine GP38-2301. So basically right now that track is live. But for a little quick demo, we're going to move this train here. This is AP303. So what we're going to do is we're going to turn the track power on, and you'll see what will happen. There we go. So now that we have power, we're going to adjust the turntable to that track. So it should line up, which it has. And what we're going to do is we're going to bring that loco up and run it right on to the track. Let's get him going. So it looks like that 303 is being a little stubborn, so we're going to switch to the other side of the turntable here, and we're going to call up 400. So the first thing we have to do, obviously, is swing the turntable all the way around. I'm just going to keep this thing going. It'll spin around in a minute. The side with the little shanty, that's the side that always aligns up with the tracks. As you can see, it's lined up. So now we're going to pull 400 onto turntable. Yeah, a little bit of a grinder, but it's in one of the older units. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to turn this engine around and send it back out. What we're going to do is we're going to send it, actually we might as well just flip this around and send it so that it will line up to head out. And we've got it lined up. So we'll send it out short hood forward. And it heads right out. And then of course, if we want, we can turn it and have it go long hood out or go in reverse. As you saw on the other side, there are more tracks. So how do we get to all these tracks? All right, we'll show you. What you're seeing here is a 90-degree crossover. There's two ways to get into the Richmond Hill engine terminal. What you're looking at here, this track attaches to one of the tracks in staging, actually South Staging Track 5. It's a stub track, and you can bring an engine right up from wherever or right down here, and that switch you see leads to the turntable. Now over here we have another track. This is the tail track, and this track can handle a pair of 4-axle engines, usually Jeeps or switches or RS units, or one 6-axle engine, especially if it's an SD40 or greater. It can handle two SD35s. So now we have the other part of the engine terminal, and that is where we have all the other tracks on the other side. This is the panel for it. As you can see, I can control the turntable switch that you saw on the other side and the tail track switch. We've got the panels lit up. We've been working on them. It's still a work in progress, but there's more. Here's the view of the other tracks on the other side of the engine terminal. There's a number of storage tracks here. There's actually 3 tracks on this side and 2 on this side. The tracks here, you can see there's 3 engines. Each of those tracks are blocked so that I can have one engine on it. And we've got a couple of tracks here that are blocked as well, so we can store some engines and kill the power where needed. So the interesting thing is, as many of you know, I mentioned my friend in New Jersey here, John, and as I call him NJ John, because there's also another John in Georgia, who, of course, everybody has seen the freight cars that he's done outstanding jobs for the Atlantic Pacific Railroad, as well as his Empire Belt Railroad. So my friend NJ John said, well, if you're working this part of the engine terminal and you want engines, why do you have to go run around? So he said, if you're standing on the east side of the railroad, why not put another panel? So I did. And it still needs to be wired up. It's not set. But everything for these 2 tracks and coming off the tail track can be controlled right from here, which is nice. This way you don't have to run around.